I laugh a lot at the new expression. Trump is the smartest one in the cabinet. Imagine the rest. If they had asked Benjamin Netanyahu to form the U.S. cabinet, he would not have dared to gather so many pro-Israel ministers. He would have said, it would attract too much attention, and I'll throw in a few reasonable ministers. Trump has assembled such a pro-Israel cabinet that even Netanyahu must be surprised. Or if Elon Musk had been told, you form the cabinet, he would have put a few sane ministers together. Everyone in the cabinet is a crazy extremist. It would be naive to expect realistic policies from this president and this cabinet to hope for sane things. The chaotic order, which has already been in place for some time, is bound to hit a new low. The birth of Trumpism. But here we need to ask our questions differently to better understand the situation. The answer to the question of how Trump was elected is a bit of current political analysis, and we can easily find answers. The question, why does American society elect a figure like Trump, can lead us to sociology. Because I think political analyses that say Trump was elected because of the failure of the Democrats mislead us. The answer that Trump influenced society is also misleading. Yes, there is some truth in both, but the deeper answers are not what we are looking for. The point is that U.S. sociology gave birth to Trump. Society actually chose someone who looks like them. In other words, if Trump had not existed, society would have given birth to and elected someone with Trump's profile. In this case, we are discussing the consequences of the changing sociology. Otherwise, Trump as a figure alone did not cause all these things to happen. I think in the future we will talk about a sociological trend that will be called Trumpism. This is not a trend invented by Trump. It is a political wave created by sociology, but it is being identified and symbolized by Trump every day. Is Trumpism similar to National Socialism? I wondered if this movement could be compared to the National Socialism movement that started in Europe in the 1920s. Its characteristics such as anti-foreigner, populism, extreme nationalism, anti-homosexuality, antagonism, and antagonism are similar. But National Socialism is against liberalism and capitalism. In this respect, they are diametrically opposed to Trumpism. Populist nationalism, which is the most prominent characteristic of Trumpism, is currently spreading in Europe as a big wave. The beginning phase of this extreme nationalism is actually the incubation period of racism. The feelings of homeland, country, solidarity, unity, glorification of the nation at the beginning of National Socialism soon progressed to the obsession with the Aryan race, then to the denigration of other races, and then to enslavement. World War II was the result of the storm of National Socialism, and humanity suffered its greatest catastrophe at the hands of Hitler, Mussolini, Franco, Hirohito. These were the symbolic names created by the National Socialist movement. But a large part of society thought the same way, and that society gave birth to these names. Today, a similar sociological deviation is taking place in America and Europe. Since it is the dominant culture and the dominant civilization, many countries in the world are naturally affected. My first scary scenario is that Trumpism takes root like National Socialism and evolves into violent racism. In this case, World War III will be inevitable, and the West will once again drench the world in blood. Similarities between Trumpism and McCarthyism. My more optimistic scenario is that Trumpism resembles the McCarthyism movement that swept the U.S. in the 1940s during the Cold War. This movement, which started with the fear of communism, created a paranoid state and society in the U.S. The optimistic side of this period of the most intense enmity was that it faded after 1950 and ended without causing a major war. In this period, which was identified with Senator Joseph McCarthy, nationalism, and anti-foreigner sentiment rose again and paralyzed the society. National Socialism was symbolized by Hitler and McCarthyism by Senator Joseph McCarthy. Their discourse was populist, their arguments shallow and emotional, their ideas paranoid and without depth. Where will Trumpism evolve towards? Trumpism has similar features, but it also has differences. It is difficult to predict how far the path of hatred that started with China and Iranophobia, anti-Muslim sentiments, and refugee phobia will lead. Strangely, his anti-Russian stance is tactical rather than ideological. This team prefers not to create a Russia bogeyman due to its strategy of siding with Russia against China. In fact, it is seen that this movement is still in its infancy, confused, and its ideas are not fully established. This current, which already lacks intellectual depth, is shaped more by emotional reflexes and populist discourses, and they can change their minds with short-term fluctuations. And therefore, we cannot say that Trumpism has matured and rooted itself as an ideology. What we should be thinking about is how and where this trend will evolve.